Imagine you're 8 years old. Someone lands on your boardwalk, the one with the bright red hotel sitting on it, and suddenly you have the power to bankrupt your own grandmother. That's Monopoly, the only board game that simultaneously teaches capitalism and ruins family dinners. But here's the thing almost nobody realizes. Monopoly isn't just a game. Hidden beneath the colorful money in the little plastic houses is a complete financial education system. We're talking cash flow, investing, negotiation, risk management. It's all there. And if you've ever sat at that table and wondered why one player always seems to win while everyone else slowly bleeds cash and goes broke, this is exactly why. By the time we're done here, I promise you'll see money and probably your own finances in a completely different light. Let's start with the first and most important lesson Monopoly teaches. Cash flow matters more than net worth. It's that simple. You can own half the board from Baltic Avenue to Park Place and still lose the entire game if you don't have enough cash in your hand. Liquidity keeps you alive. In the game, cash is what lets you survive a bad roll of the dice, pay that exorbitant rent when you land on someone else's hotel, and most importantly, seize an opportunity when a property you need comes up for sale. In real life, it's exactly the same. This is the reason people with six-figure incomes can still live paycheck to paycheck. Their net worth might look great on paper, but all their money is tied up. It's in their house, their car, their retirement accounts. It's not working for them when it actually matters, when that unexpected bill arrives. A smart Monopoly player always keeps cash reserves. They know that a pile of cash is more than just money. It's options, it's survival. And understanding this leads directly to the next lesson, which explains why doing nothing with your money is quietly costing you more than you think. This is all about opportunity cost. In a game of Monopoly, you can always spot the beginners. They hesitate, they pass up the chance to buy properties, especially the cheaper ones at the start of the board. They want to save their cash. But the experienced player, they know that early in the game, almost any property is better than no property. Even those cheap light blue or purple properties produce rent. They start creating an income stream, no matter how small. They create leverage. And they give you trading power later when you need to negotiate for a full color set. In real life, money that's just sitting in a checking account isn't saving you, it's losing value. Every single day, inflation is eating away at its purchasing power. Doing nothing with your money is a decision, and it's a decision that has a cost. The sooner you put your money to work, the sooner the incredible power of compounding can begin. But just investing, just buying up assets doesn't guarantee a win. There's another skill that separates the winners from the losers: negotiation. The best Monopoly players are not just the luckiest, they are the best negotiators. They are constantly talking, trading, structuring deals. They're trying to turn their one orange property into the two they need to complete a set. They're offering cash plus a railroad to get that final yellow property that will let them build hotels. They create leverage where none existed. The game actively rewards the deal makers, not just the passive asset collectors. And this is a perfect mirror of real life. Your ability to negotiate affects your salary, the price you pay for a house or a car, the terms of a business deal, the success of your investments. Yet it is a skill most people never, ever practice. Monopoly forces you to. It creates a low-stakes environment where you have to learn to ask for what you want, to find common ground, and to create value through trade. If any of this is changing how you think about that old board game, maybe share it with someone you've bankrupted in the past. It might just change their game. Now, for the next lesson, this is where most people in the game and in life completely sabotage themselves. Emotions destroy wealth. Monopoly is a masterclass in money psychology. You see it every time you play. People refuse to make a perfectly good trade out of pride. They don't want to admit the other player got the better of them. They make terrible, impulsive decisions out of anger after landing on a high-rent property. They'll spend all their cash to build a hotel on a mediocre property just because they don't want to feel like they're losing. This is exactly, and I mean exactly, how people behave in the financial markets. Fear is what causes people to panic and sell their stocks at the bottom of a crash, locking in their losses. Greed is what causes them to pile into a hot stock at its absolute peak right before it collapses. And pride is what keeps them holding on to a bad investment for years, refusing to admit they made a mistake. The game shows in vivid color how emotions, not a lack of intelligence, are what truly destroy wealth. And once you learn to control those emotions, another powerful force becomes your ally: leverage. Notice how the game changes when houses and hotels start appearing on the board. The rent doesn't just go up a little bit, it explodes. Going from 2 houses to 3 or 3 houses to a hotel can multiply your income on that property by 5 or 10 times. That is leverage. In real life, leverage shows up in many forms. It could be the education you get that multiplies your earning potential. It's owning a business where you leverage the work of your employees. It's using a mortgage to buy a rental property. It's investing in the stock market to leverage the entire economy. Small improvements, when applied correctly to the right assets, create massive exponential results. Smart Monopoly players don't just buy assets, they develop them. But leverage without a safety net leads directly to disaster, which brings us to the crucial lesson of risk management. Think about the chance and community chest cards. They are life distilled onto little pieces of cardboard. One card is bank error in your favor, collect $200. The next is road repairs, pay $40 per house. These cards represent the unpredictable nature of life. Expected expenses, a sudden job loss, a downturn in the economy. The smart Monopoly player always keeps a cash buffer for exactly this reason. They know that sooner or later, they're going to get hit with an unexpected bill or land on the wrong square at the wrong time. In real life, that cash buffer is called an emergency fund, and it is the single line that separates a minor inconvenience from a complete catastrophe. Risk isn't something you should try to avoid, it's something you must prepare for. And now for what might be the most controversial but also most revealing strategy in the entire game: scarcity and control. There are only 32 houses in a standard Monopoly set. A very shrewd and some would say ruthless strategy is to buy up properties and load them with 4 houses each but never upgrade to hotels. Why? Because this creates a housing shortage. If you own all the houses, no one else can build. You choke off their ability to develop their own assets and leverage their properties. It feels unfair, it feels cutthroat, but it's brutally realistic. Scarcity creates power. In the real world, wealth flows towards rare skills, scarce assets, and limited opportunities. Understanding the power of supply constraints is fundamental to understanding how money works. And this all leads to the final and most important lesson of all: building sustainable wealth. Monopoly doesn't end when one person gets rich, it ends when everyone else goes broke. The board is littered with players who had a good run, gained some valuable assets, and maybe even got a monopoly, and then lost it all due to a few bad rolls and poor management. Real life is exactly the same. Wealth isn't about making money once. It's not about a lucky break or a one-time windfall. It's about managing your assets, your cash flow, and your emotions under pressure over the long haul. Those who truly understand the rules of the game, the written and the unwritten, are the ones who win repeatedly. The beautiful irony in all of this is that Monopoly was originally designed by a woman named Elizabeth Magie to show the negative aspects of monopolistic capitalism. It was intended as a warning, but instead it accidentally became one of the most effective teaching tools for mastering money ever created. Sometimes the best lessons really do come from the most unexpected places. So the next time you sit down to play Monopoly, remember, you're not just playing a game, you're running a simulation. You're practicing how money, psychology, and strategy actually work in the real world. And if Monopoly can teach us all of this, just wait until you see what a game of pure strategy, a game with zero luck like chess, can teach you about money. But that's a story for another time.